Gotta do the big eyes. Gotta do the
Big eyes,
We're awake.
big eyes, big face thing. We're doing this. We're doing this thing.
We're doing it. You and me. Oh,
It's
wait.
happening.
Huh?
Which John? Are you John or am I John? Which John are we?
I think you're John, and I believe I'm John.
Okay, we can do that.
But it could be the other way around.
Right. And we can make the Rosencrantz joke, but no one's going to get it. That's not the demographic.
Mikey will get it at least, and Mikey's going to get it. But
maybe that's true.
welcome, AEW fam. It is, of course, Thursday, which means that we are here to review Wednesday night's Dynamite finally together. It is just three gents with just the two gents named the same name. Therefore, we don't know which is which, but both of us are going to die in some form of Hamlet at some point. So it's going to be perfect. This is where we are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just to me. Yeah.
And to you. And to me. And to you.
We're going to add 30 minutes to this thing doing the
Literally.
John.
That's for Patreon. If you want the Johns just to like riff on something, we'll do it there. We are happy to have you with us, though, for this AEW review. This was our Dynamite that was leading into Big Business. So this is the kind of go-home show to the special show next week. And before we jump in all together and get to our reviews and kind of what went on there, a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, we've been talking this up all over the place. We are on YouTube, on Twitch, on a bunch of other social medias at BC WrestlePod. You should be following us there. If you found us through the algorithm, thank the Lord somebody found you. They brought you in from the cold. Join us here. We're nice. We have cookies and bite very hard. And also remember, you should probably subscribe to the channel. Click that notification button because we review all different types of wrestling, pretty much everything except NJPW. So all the different weekly shows, you will get a review from different folks on this channel, all Biconic together. Also, just putting it out there. If you like what you see, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're getting from us on a weekly basis, you can see it in person. You can be there and with our consent, touch us. And we hope you will in May at New Jersey WrestleCon, May 18th and 19th. The BC WrestlePod boys will be tabling and maybe involved in a few fun things there. Professor, we got to get you out to come do this.
I would love to do. I want to be part of the Biconics petting zoo out in New Jersey. I don't think anything could go wrong. I think that'd be great. There's a whole lot of consensual petting.
Exactly. Well, that'll be between us at the table. You'll have to pay extra to see it, though. It's all on the Patreon. We have a Patreon. You should support us there because that means you can pay for more things to get the professor and other people off the West Coast to the East Coast and us to the West Coast to see everybody. Huh.
Join the Patreon and you can get a food cup to take to the Biconics showing in New Jersey.
2 Biconics, 1 cup. We got that. It's perfect. We move on, though. We're jumping into an all-new Dynamite, Professor. This is the new look and feel, new season. Dynamite has restarted as NXT 2.0. But it's not terrible. And they brought the tunnels back. How do you feel that we have our beloved tunnels back?
I love the production. I thought it was great. It's sort of like AEW Dynamite, now with purple. Like, oh, look, there's more colors. Yay!
Exactly.
Fun.
Which is what we also had running into the first little bit because we had the colors represented as our diversity in our main event scene as Swerve Strickland comes out to run down the fact that he lost to Samoa Joe, but he still deserves a title shot. He's being humble, kind of playing that anti-hero role, not going full heel, but still saying, I've done bad things. Like, he's really leaning into that now, right?
Yeah, we talked about that, too. We were wondering if he was going to do that in-betweener face heel thing a few months ago, and then went full, I drink the blood of white people, which is fair. Everyone needs a hobby. But we were wondering if that was going to come back. We were wondering how it was going to go. We were wondering if there was any pens for any of the Nick Wayne saga that just kind of got derailed. Like, all that stuff happened and then never touched it again. Like, okay. Huh?
Follow was AR Fox getting suspended because AR Fox ended up not being able to tell people he couldn't go to out of the country.
And then AR Fox has been banished, right? We haven't seen him. Yeah, that's unfortunate because I like AR Fox a lot.
It is. He's on ROH. Come to our side. You can see.
I gotta go back to ROH. ROH is the good stuff.
There you go. But Swerve, yeah.
I thought this was a great start to a promo. It shows me a different side of Swerve. It gave us a place to go. I liked it.
I love that Nana also isn't fully going against him as his manager, even though Nana is definitely a heel manager and like has been trying to get him to do it. He's supporting him and being his hype man is like, whose house, Swerve's house.
It's also funny how quickly Nana runs away when Nana can save him, but we'll get to that in a second.
We will. As Samoa Joe finally comes out to break up the love fest and get the crowd back on his side to say that he understands what he's saying here, but he is the true champion. He beat everybody here. He doesn't automatically get a rematch with me. I'm going to go on and just keep defending this. And weirdly, Joe is getting over with the crowd at the same point. There isn't like a real anger at either of them at this point.
Yeah. What is interesting, I like that AEW is, unlike other promotions, I think all promotions have this. I got to be careful how I phrase this. What's something interesting about the way AEW has built this is that we're a fan of all the heels, and sometimes we hate the faces. Like, does that make sense? Like, and that's kind of broad, and I don't mean to say it that way, but there's sort of a sense of I still respect you and I love seeing you as a heel, so that's why I'm cheering. Similar to another promotion that does that with a few, but then they kind of bury it or they change it completely because they don't like that feel. AEW will sit in that.
Especially with their champions right now, because a lot of them, except for maybe Christian Cage, have that. Tony Storm's got that. You know, you've got that with even Roderick Strong to a certain extent, not really, but kind of. It's just kind of there in that
There's
respect.
There's people out there who like Roderick Strong, and that's great. And
there's people there that like the Kingdom and like people like that with the tag division. So we get that kind of back and forth. Roddy, then the Undisputed Era Kingdom comes out to interrupt them because obviously Wardlow is up for that. They're celebrating Roddy's win. And I wrote down this, Roddy, glasses do not give you personality.
Man, I thought something similar. It was sort of like, why? That was
he wants
unfortunate.
to be that guy with glasses.
I guess so. We haven't had a lot of champions with glasses, right? That doesn't happen very often.
Not a lot that we see that often, unless they're sunglasses. So this is very much like a big thing where like it's that nerdy type of like almost protector squash goggles he's wearing.
Yeah,
and I got overcorrecting, but there Adam Cole comes out to do story time with Adam Cole, and he got booed out the building because everyone's not really enjoying anything he's doing, which is good.
And we've talked about this here, and I was never privy to this before, but heel Adam Cole is really good. I like face Adam Cole, got no problem with it, but heel Adam Cole's like, oh, that guy is on fire.
He's got more reps in it. That's usually been his kind of MO in most places he's gone to, so that makes sense he would do it. They came out, though, to break up Swerve and Joe, nearly setting up a championship rematch on the night, and I kind of wanted that. And when we saw what was being done here, where they're setting up a tag team match against the Kingdom, something inside me broke. Because while I'd love to see this match is going to be amazing, it's going to run really well. You're burying your ROH tag champions because they're going to eat the pin unless they can't coincide. And for what reason? Whereas we could have taken the Kingdom out of this and just had the rematch. Much better.
Yeah, it was a little awkward start. I agree with you. Swerve did have the line of the night in this promo, looking at Adam Cole and saying, "You Dr. Claw impressions. Dr. Claw, you look like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. And then I got Britt's second number on my phone. Like, whoa, what? And just Adam Cole's face. Like, oh, what do I even do?
Shut him down.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah, I felt kind of the same way. Like, wait, we could have done this now, but this now later. Wait, this thing is what we're doing.
Well, and especially as they were setting up to be next week, and then Tony Khan swerved them.
I can't. And, not to ramble on this. I can't tell if I love or hate the earpiece thing that Tony Schiavone does. With I just heard from Tony Khan. Like, it's a little bit of a cop out to me, but it's being used so much now. It's now a trope of itself. Like, wait, I just heard this. Like, oh my god, that's really funny.
Well, and I love it more in the fact that we know how bad Tony Khan can be on the mic, or when he says that he can't be a Mr. McMahon calling down from a video package saying "do this."
Which there's a commentary on later on in Dynamite on another promo, which was very funny.
Very much so. But yeah, it's a way to get him involved, and that I did like then. Aubrey Edwards sprinting to the ring like, this is happening, we're doing this, and she's in, and it was great.
Perfect.
So we get Taven and Bennett taking on Joe and Swerve, and Joe ostensibly decides, I'm just going to take them on myself and show you that I'm the better champion, and this became less of a let's beat this established tag team and more of who can be the better person in the ring against two, which I go, didn't we do this with MJF when he took on both of the ROH tag team champions before?
Yeah.
Like, when he held that, like he took on the Righteous and did the same thing.
I don't know how I feel about it. I thought that thought too. Was like, didn't we see something like this with MJF? We have similar circumstances and whatnot. I do like the difference here. I do like kind of seeing sort of, I can take on two guys. No, I can take on two guys. No, watch me take on two guys thing that they kind of threw at each other.
No one clipped that.
Yeah, exactly. That's me never running for public office. So I didn't hate that. I think Joe sold getting beaten up really well. Like, this is hard for me, which Ring Psychology gave Swerve somewhere to go when Swerve went in and just was beautiful. That was a good 2 minutes of just, let me show you everything I love to do. And they sold everything he did. He was fluid. It was remarkable. And then even Samoa Joe going, jaw dropped at the end. I liked that it ended that way. This could have easily just been a squanch, as we say, thing, but they did something with it. They told a story with it. I do dislike the Ring of Honor belts getting crapped on all the time, and that kind of drives me nuts. And the tag team folks here at Biconics are going to be all over that, and well, they should be. However, if you're going to do it, the way they told the story, the way this was done, they didn't drop the belts randomly to Swerve and Joe. Like, there was, nothing weird like that.
Let's put these two together and weird Franken team.
Woof. Yeah. So I thought it was
also.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead. John,
no, it was it's John's turn. The last few weeks of Dynamite, they've had a really hard time kicking off the show because it's usually a meh promo or a meh match followed by a meh promo. They kind of figured it out this one. Like, oh, that worked. Great. Let's see if they do it again.
For me, the other thing is if you compare both of the ROH champions that got basically fed to the wolves this night on the opening and the closing match, one was put over much stronger than the other and didn't feel as much of a disrespect to the title itself, and that's to do with who they were in the ring with and how they were booking it. And so as we get to that later, just take a look at that when you watch this and just see how they treat each one. I want better for the Kingdom. They need to get away from this whole schmoz and get back to ROH, showcase a couple match there, really build that brand back up before they can do anything else.
I agree.
We move on, though, to more people involved with Mogul Embassy and really just kind of a Team Taz reunion as the FTW champion Hook, not FTR, FTW, takes on Brian Cage for the FTW championship in an FTW rules match, which is ostensibly a hardcore match. And before we get that, we get a promo with Hook backstage about to speak, and the last person we want to at all get involved with anything to do with AEW, Chris Jericho comes out to basically tell him, because you dropped me on my head and basically did a suplex very dangerously like your father, I respect you. Ha!
I was just going to say, I was like, what's... I don't know what the trauma response is you dropped me on my head. I kind of like you. Like, wait, what?
Go away. Just go away, Jericho. Please go away.
Because now it's not coming out, and I said this before, now it's starting to happen. Jericho is ending up with this younger talents, putting them over in a way that's sort of like, yeah, but you need me here, yeah, but you want me here, yeah, but look what I could do for you. Trying to ignore the fact that he has a NDAs and a reputation that's messed up.
Would we call this allegedly grooming behavior of young talent, maybe? Getting them to need him for certain amounts of favors and abilities, and then they give him the rub that he needs in maybe a literal or metaphorical way. I'm just saying allegedly.
I mean, yeah, at least he's not taking on two dudes for the ROH title. I just don't understand why Jericho's doing this, or what kind of power he has to push for this, or what. Hook doesn't need Jericho at all. Hook is doing just fine.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't talk.
So I think that's unfortunate. Now we're seeing a pattern of this, and I'm kind of over it, and I'm wondering what strings are being pulled. And yeah, it kind of comes off as grooming and pretentious.
It's scary.
And that's awkward. But Brian Cage was in this match.
Yeah, that's true. And amazingly, Brian Cage's entrance gear was amazing. Everything was really good. I think he was pulling out, I can't say for sure, it looked like King from Tekken that he was looking
like.
Oh, yes. It's just not with the head. That's
totally
kind of what it looked like to me. And
I think I'm not saying I wrote down identity crisis ? Because he's jumping from cool thing to cool thing, but never landing on it, which I think is like, I'm going to paint my face. That's cool. I'm going to do this and this. Oh, well, that's cool. None of it's been stagnant. So that's not what I mean, but it's sort of like, I'm going to try it this week. He's like, yeah, that's great. He just hasn't picked one thing.
Yeah, it's not reinvention because he hasn't invented something yet. So he's getting there. But this was a knockdown drag out. Even the picture-to-picture, like the barricade spot where Cage goes through all the way. They pull the actual barricade out to use that when he flops into it on a giant T-bone.
He was pulling ice off his face after the fire extinguisher.
And still taking people out.
Which fire extinguisher spots are dangerous. I don't know if you've heard this or not. You can't breathe in because that's carbon dioxide. You're going to mess yourself up. Or it's carbon dioxide and something else. So you're basically going over going, ooh, like you're gonna die. So he had to do that without breathing, got ice all over him. Like that was an awesome spot. I love seeing things like that.
After that happened, I was thinking back and kind of joking, going back to Revolution, like, oh, is someone else going to pick up a fog machine and throw it at like they threw it at Powerhouse Hobbs? Like, we can have another round of that where that toxic, antifreeze gets thrown on somebody.
Is that what Jericho was doing? Jericho was just going to hold it there and get the fog in his face. Like, no, not the humidifier.
We didn't know. But then, the thumbtacks. The most overused trope in hardcore stuff, and yet this was necessary for this to showcase how tough both Hook and Cage were.
Sure.
The bumps they took in it. I was scared for Hook because when they first went down before a bump happened, he stepped through him, and then you could see he had no traction on his feet.
They were stepping through it quite a bit, trying to get position after that, which I was a little like, oh, you're fine. Why are you moving? You're fine. Why are you moving?
Well, because you're nervous. You don't want to fall in it because it's going to hurt.
It's fair. What's interesting, normally thumbtack stuff, you see them all over their back. This one, I don't think a lot of them, I'm sure it hurt. It looked like Hook got it on the forearm and his butt. Like, that's where he got stuck.
Same with Brian Cage. There was a lot in his butt you could see, and he was hurting him a little bit more because he landed wrong. But the jump on with the red rum and the fall back in with that much weight on you into the tacks. Even if they don't all go into you, like, holy crap.
And if you've heard from Adam Copeland, it's not so much falling on the tacks, it's going backstage and pulling them all out. That's what feels awful.
It does. It was same with Stevie Richards. He had a whole thing on that too because he did it on his podcast.
This was so much fun. I had so much fun watching this. It was paced out well. These two know each other, obviously. They worked well. They sold each other well. Their styles
work very well.
Very well. And there are a few spots I can't quite remember, and we're moving quickly, where they called them on the fly, and they just seamlessly boom, boom, boom. Like they were great.
It was after a couple of things broke on them, and they weren't going through the things themselves. Brian Cage took Hook and was like, "Okay, here's what we're going to do."
Yeah.
Basically, walked him around the ring, beating him up to show him, "Here's where this is. Here's where this is," and like they oriented themselves with the current ring. Wonderful thing. Hook picks up the win, does not let go of the red rum on the tacks, makes him tap out. Mogul Embassy shows up to beat up Hook, which, again, perfect that they'd come back their guy up, but God damn it, Toa, do not walk in that ring. You're in bare feet. Don't go through those tags. I was so worried for him.
Oh, my God.
And then Jericho comes out, and he's waving the bat like a 60-year-old man. It's like my lesbian aunt just wants to go out and like have fun with her girlfriends, and she can't make them understand why her belligerent personality isn't fun anymore. So
because she carries a bat around to every dive bar they go to.
Exactly, she's a dyke with a bat. It's we're gonna get demonetized for that one.
Part of me, what didn't sell this is that there's no way they're that scared of Jericho. You know what I mean? They just ran into the ring filled with tacks. They're not afraid of you, Jericho. Jericho barely holding. Like, there's no way. So that I kind of went, meh, not quite. But we're trying to tell a story. We're trying to keep Jericho relevant. We're trying to distract.
But what's the story we're telling? What's the story we're telling?
No, I know. We don't have one. Right now, it's just a story of distraction. It's just a story of Chris Jericho's doing something. So we don't talk about the obvious thing.
Yeah, Chris Jericho's whole plan with Kenny Omega went down the train, so they have to keep using him because he's the first AEW champion and probably has something in his contract that states, I get to decide that I'm on TV all the time.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Let's get off of that. Bad taste afterwards, bad ending to it after a good ending. We see the best friends backstage, and Chucky T gets to go on about how they're all excited to be back together. They're very grateful that things are going okay. They're sad for Orange, but it's all right. But unfortunately, Chucky T is still not up to snuff to be able to do stuff. But Orange and Trent are going to get together, and they're going to go after those tag team titles. Is this the fall of Trent Beretta? Do we see the development in this tournament as what happens?
I don't know. We could go that way. Sure. I don't think. I mean, is Orange my brain went to, is Orange Cassidy going to hold 3 titles in 12 months?
Probably.
Is he going to get a tag team belt out of this too? Which would just be, the ultimate nod to him, right? Like, yeah, you've held all 3 in less than a year's time, and I think if it's, I don't know, I'd have to do the math on it, but we're still within the time limit of the last time he had those 2 belts. I'm intrigued. I don't know. The best friends thing, sometimes it's really hit or miss for me. Sometimes I think it works. Sometimes I think it's too much of a tag along, in my opinion. I want to see more from them, obviously, but dude's hurt his ankle, which he called out, which he said there. I forget his name. What's his name? Whose ankle's
Taylor.
Hurt? Thank Chuck Taylor.
Yeah, I
remember seeing great things when he wasn't hurt. But
he and Trent Beretta work amazingly well as best friends. My thought is if they do end up winning the titles, is it going to be a Freebird rule when Chucky T comes back? Because then you need to defend it whoever's available.
That's what I wonder too. Yeah, that could be interesting. I don't know. I'm interested to see. I'm glad they're doing stuff with the tag team belts, and I'm sure a few of the other Biconic tag team nerds here are excited about it too.
Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. How you doing? I hope. Not the best promo. Didn't get me too excited for it, but Orange Cassidy was on my screen, so I'm happy.
Always happy. And it, in general, not as bad as it could have been.
Sure.
Because we got then a weird squash next. The patriarchy comes out, and I'm like, is Christian Cage wrestling evening? No, it's Lucha Switch. I mean, Killsaurus. I mean, whatever the hell his name is. Taking on Daddy Magic Matt Menard, who, again, had come out to back up Daniel Garcia last week and help him out. So I guess that we put together the two heavies of these groups together. And Daddy Magic coming out looking like 1990s British Bulldog. Or actually, late 90s British Bulldog. I don't know if that was the reference or he just didn't want to do it, but he was in like the same type of boots and like the jeans and such.
It might have been. They got to do something better with that bandage because it was just like a girdle. Like it didn't quite sell for me. Oh, your back's hurt. It's like, yeah, okay. Put tape on it. Like, don't put him out there in a girdle. Like, what are you doing to that guy?
It's 1990s British Bulldog. It's hiding all the scars from all the steroids.
Yeah, you're right.
No, Daddy Magic does not do steroids. He's from Montreal. It's all like, organic poutine. He does very well with it. And
organic poutine.
My only notes from this were Daddy Magic is doing everything in his power to do power game and have fun with this. And I don't know who told Luchasaurus not to do anything except goozle a guy, choke him every 5 seconds, but he either looks slow, something's wrong, or they've told him not to wrestle his style, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of worrying to me.
It was really not what I'm used to from seeing him, right? It's just almost spot fest, sort of one thing, then one thing, then one thing, then one thing, and Daddy Magic trying to do things around it. I will say, I didn't have a lot of notes on this one either. I will say Christian on the mic at the table makes everyone so much better.
Love it. It was perfect to have there.
It makes Taz more heel commenter. It makes Excalibur more face. It makes Shivani comment. Like it's someone like that giving that to them.
Shivani
comment just says things that aren't non sequiturs. Like Shivani just Shivani by himself behind the table has no punctuation. It's just random things coming out.
Stream of consciousness for a 70-year-old man. It's always great.
So, this match itself wasn't what's interesting. It's how this kind of ended and where we were going.
Exactly, because we have Daniel Garcia coming out to save Daddy Magic from Luchasaurus, who, again, was just continue to goozle him and try to, like, chokeslam him multiple times.
Why? Daniel Garcia does, like, the 8-year-old kid thing where it's just I'm gonna hold my head and swing my arms. And if you get hit, it's your own fault thing.
Which funnily enough, Nick Wayne sells against really well. That was hysterical to watch.
I kind of like seeing the turnaround. A lot of these folks, I'm sure, 48 hours later, we're back on Dynamite crushing each other. So I'm glad to see Daniel Garcia there. I know how big Lucha Switch is, but seeing him next to Daniel Garcia really makes me go, oh, damn, you huge.
Well, yeah, because usually you see him against, like, next to Adam Copeland, who's about 6'6", 6'7".
Right.
And it's like he's ginormous, but, like, it's crazy. And speaking of which, as Garcia gets beaten down by the rest of the patriarchy, everything's getting taken to Josh. We have Adam Copeland running out to make the save. He takes out Lucha Switch. He takes out Nick Wayne. He's standing at the top of the ramp yelling at Christian, like, come at me, come at me. And Mother Wayne goes for the old low blow, and he knows what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I love catching a heel on that and being like, and literally he like looked at her and he was like, all right, well, we're going to do this a little bit. So.
We all have that spider sense. It's just sometimes we choose not to use it. That's exactly. How, this is my opinion. I think you might agree with me too. This is how you do a backstage segment. Like this Attitude Era style, camera's gonna follow. Can you follow me, camera guy? Like, we're running through the halls, we're throwing things around, we're getting to a parking lot. Like that felt like the wrestling I used to watch. It was like,
stealing a car, driving away, waving the title out the window.
He went full 4 stars on Grand Theft Auto, pulled the dude out of the car. Like, that's great. It wasn't clunky. It wasn't, I could name 100 examples where we go backstage and it seems like nobody knows what to do. Christian and Adam know how to do this, and it was textbook.
They're from that era. They should know how to do it. It's in their bones.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love when you address the camera. Like, you realize it's there and use it to your advantage.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that's perfect for them to do. And like also with having Adam breathing like out of time and like all that stuff.
And I'm not going to ruin the magic. There's one cut in there. There's only one cut in there, and I had to watch it twice to catch it. But even then, it was seamless. Like,
they
oh
had
my
a good
God,
positioning, and it was well put together. It was
so
not
good.
as good as Dalton Castle chasing Johnny TV. I'm sorry, the ROH chase was better. There was parkour involved. There was a giant, chair that went to the face. There was cheese. Like, you just can't go wrong with that. So I'm sorry. It's my second best one.
And that's when you take the time to build it. Don't just do it arbitrary.
Get your dairy involved.
Get your I don't know. Like that saved the whole spot for me.
It did.
Christian on the mic was great. Watching the squash match, fine.
Nah.
That chase was so much fun.
And I can't wait for Big Business.
Gonna be fun.
And I can't wait for the next Dynamite in Toronto when it actually goes down.
That's gonna be fantastic. So I'm very much intrigued. It was great that, and it kind of brings it full circle, not to ramble on this a little bit. If you think of the last Edge match, which was, hey, I don't know when I'm coming back, and now we're a year and a half, maybe?
And around that. About 12 months, yeah.
He's back. So what, I feel like that
the hometown boy is back as the hometown boy now. He's Adam Copeland.
Yes. That's going to be wild.
It's going to be wild. We moved from that, though, that we took a break, had a commercial, came back, and a very earnest Kyle O'Reilly is giving his thoughts on why he came back and why he didn't join up with his Undisputed Kingdom buddies and how he's feeling, and like being honest about the fact that he didn't think he'd be back to wrestle. Like, he was on the verge of retiring or almost dying from what was going on with him, and that's a huge hurdle jump, and he wants to challenge himself.
I didn't look it up. What was going on with him?
I have to look it up as well. I don't remember the exact injury. I know he had done something to his leg and his knee that was really bad, to the point of like there was a bad infection, but I don't know if there was anything else. I have to check on that, but I will do research later.
I was kind of happy to see something so heartfelt and dropped in, as the acting teachers would say. Totally different than the rest of the promos we have been getting or got this night. I'm invested in the story now. I mean, it's basically I am in. Renee, great scene partner. Renee's always there, vulnerable, listening, watching, does all the great stuff. What a cool segment. And to be gone for 2 years, over 2 years?
Almost. Yeah, 2022 is the last time we saw him.
And within 48 hours, do what you did at the pay-per-view, plus bam, drop this promo. Like, whew, okay. Dude.
Also, performer accused in his early career of not having much of a personality as well. Like, he was very good technically, and he tried. Hey, Roddy. No glasses. No guys around him. Earnest promo. Very happy to be there. Spoken for the first time in a couple of years. And drew me in less than 10 seconds. I'm surprised.
And we've talked about this, and then Darby's a good example of this later on, too. I'm not putting things on to show you. I'm taking things away to let you in, and what you get is what you get. That's the meta acting thing of the night. And dude nailed it. And the wrestlers that get it, the performers that understand that, their promos hit completely differently.
And they don't have to have the charisma of The Rock to do it.
Not
as long as they believe what they're saying and actually can get it done.
There are plenty of wrestlers with no charisma that just believe what they say, and it comes off perfectly. But that's for another podcast. We still got to talk about Dynamite.
You and I will do that later.
We can talk about it.
We jump from a very earnest promo to a very structured, very put together, but well-placed promo. Sure. And I have some thoughts at the end of this about continuity and kind of some things about it, but the EVPs come out, and God love them. You want to get heel heat in this respect, they come out with faux sadness that they're going to have to address a couple of things. Adam Page having put his hands on two referees and giving Bryce Remsburg an actual big shiner that he had later on in the night. Like, he actually got a black eye from that event. They're having to suspend Adam Page. He's suspended from the Elite, suspended from AEW indefinitely. Don't know what's going on here. I don't know how you feel about that. It's a good way to give him the kayfabe reason to take time off, but that was the first piece there.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think it's kayfabe giving him time off. Sure. I think what really sold this promo for me was the goofier one they did earlier in the night, where they were just trying to be cardboard fake Tony Khan, and that was hilarious to me. Like, we're just going to do this cardboard whatever EVP promo, if anyone gets a chance to watch that, It's like, that's a beautiful commentary thing. So by the time they got in here and they went, "Fo, I'm sad," I almost bought it. I was sort of like, I see what you're doing. Okay, they call out Duluth. They get the folks on their side. So I don't know if they were going for heartfelt or goofing on the kayfabe. I wasn't too sure.
I've got to ask you, because the next one, you can expound on what they actually said, but how did you feel in terms of why the reason they gave for having to suspend this person as well and basically fire them from the Elite?
Doesn't make sense.
That's the point. They're acting as if they don't understand that he has diverticulitis and can't be there.
Like, what are we? So you go out there and you say, "We're firing you, Kenny Omega. You're fired from the Elite. You're fired from AEW, I guess. Like, you're fired. Just the Elite. Just the Elite.
Just the Elite.
You're fired from the Elite, and because you're sick, and but so many other factions and things, folks are out for years.
but remember what they said. They didn't say because he was sick. They said, we don't know what's been going on with you.
Sure.
You're missing dates. You've not been coming in, and this is really unprofessional, and we don't appreciate that. As if they don't understand that he's had a life-threatening injury. Like, that's where I was like, that's an interesting turn to take with that, because that's really leaning into the faux feeling of this. Like, you don't even know what's going on with your friends.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. They better be absolutely clueless for that to make sense.
Which is
or
great.
And you're now just doing the political, we're gonna do whatever we want over the rug thing.
Hatchet job, yeah.
I agree. Kind of silly. I mean, it gives Kenny something to do whenever Kenny gets back. It's also kind of not, because we don't know how long Kenny's out for.
Yeah, there's no return date given yet.
But in my head, we're preemptive heat towards that.
Yes.
Which tells me, if we're mentioning it now, there's at least a timeline.
One would
right?
hope.
If there was nothing else going on, we had no idea, no outlook, I don't think they cut that promo and they say it that way. They say it this way knowing it's X amount of months, or we could start dropping these tiny bits of this thing, that thing, this thing. That was what I was kind of gleaming and hopeful for.
They're probably working off the Brock Lesnar timeline, because he also had diverticulitis. It was about 2.5 years before he could come back to in-ring competition, so that's what they're hoping. As this is going on, they're interrupted by Eddie Kingston, who runs down, says, I'm wearing the traders, everything else. You said basically if I wanted to say anything bad about you all, I had to pay a fine. Throws me at him, and he's about to start it. They get in a fight. They're beating each other up. And Kazuchika Okada makes his AEW debut. The Rainmaker is here.
Huge. They got me on this one, not to give away
too.
the ending, because I was all in, like, oh my God, it's happening. And then what happens, and I go, oh, but yeah, that's okay. I guess that tracks fine.
Well, that's the thing. Okada comes down, ostensibly looks like he's about to back up Kingston against the Bucks, pulls him into a Rainmaker, knocks him down, and the Young Bucks announce that Kazuchika Okada has joined the Elite. And this is where my continuity comes in. The amount of time that those two and Okada spent in New Japan beating the living tar out of each other and really saying they didn't like how the other did business, to have him join their faction is like, it should never have happened. And that's why it kind of got me in the fact they're making this work as he's taking Kenny's spot in Kenny's company, Kenny did to him in NJPW.
I read somebody else had a take similar, and it kind of went over my head because I didn't know the history like that. So that absolutely makes sense to me now.
It's Bullet Club and Chaos. That's all it's based on.
Yeah. Wow, that's remarkable. I kind of love that. If you're going to have these storylines and you're going to go this side of the Pacific, that side of the Pacific, make them complicated, make them complex. Now you have somewhere to go. Everyone gets invested in it.
He's got two of the greatest mouths to do his talking for him, because he's shaky with the English. So that's the big thing.
Yeah. But cut the promos in Japanese. Let's go. Go ahead. I'm watching anime now. I'm learning. Go ahead. Just throw them at me.
There you go. That's what we need.
I'm excited.
That was a huge shock return. And we knew he was debuting after in the first Dynamite thing, but we didn't know how.
Is he actually dropping yen from the ceiling?
It's fake money. It's like $1 Million Man money. But yes, it's all got his face on it. It's Rainmaker dollars.
Oh, that's so cool. That's great.
Which honestly had been a thing. This was, I didn't have to go off the tangent for this. There was a thing from Naito in NJPW recently where he invited a bunch of reporters out to a restaurant to do an interview with them while he's eating his dinner. And he says, oh yeah, I'm buying for everybody, so get whatever you want. I've got a lot of extra Rainmaker dollars left over from, Wrestle Kingdom. and then it turns out the restaurant doesn't accept them, obviously. So he's like, oh, well, I'm going to go out and get my wallet, then it's in my car. And he just left. So all of these reporters were left with the bill. It was just like, yeah, of course that was. So
that's fantastic.
Gotta love when you play up the kayfabe. But next up we had, if not for the final match of this evening, this was my match of the night. This was where it was. I don't know about you, John. Did you feel that way?
Yes, but I still had a question mark on this match. But yes, I was like, this is the one. This was, you got to top Extinguisher to Brian Cage, and this absolutely did it.
Statlander versus Riho. Yeah. Large Power Mama versus, Joshi Wrestling at its best. And the reversals these two did, the hope spots they got, the work they did together on this, just, raising Riho up into powerbomb position just by her hands, flipping her all over the place. She gets back, puts her in a couple of different spots. And, we also have the, Stokely at ringside trying to, make Stat go bad. This was a really well-told story. Yeah. And these two beat the living tar out of each other.
And they got a full 13, 14 minutes. Like, they got to run a while.
And the first "This is awesome" chant the entire night.
Yes.
They got that.
I loved this. I had a little, we got this in the group text too. You and the Mikey were talking and I went, I wonder. So when I watched it again today, it was like, yeah, there's a section in there where it does feel like, Rio is just getting squashed. Just destroyed here.
Dropped on her head, thrown into things.
Crazy stuff. And part of me, and trying not to worry about the performer, I'm like, she's 40 pounds. Please don't hurt her. But she can take all those shots. And I feel she would be disrespected if you did less to her, right?
She's taken worse in any of the Japanese wrestling feds. So that's,
There's one or two things that happened here that kind of get echoed at the end of the night. This reversal into sneaky way out of it, and we didn't even see the move. There was one where she was on Stratlander's shoulders, and then something happened, and then she reversed it, got out of it, and it wasn't even anything that made contact. It was just beautiful transition to watch.
Yeah, bouncing around and getting air and all that good stuff. It was crazy.
Yeah, I wonder how long they had to work with each other, or what spots they were calling, or if they got a little bit of run out of this. I think some of those moves only work if you have someone who can catch you, which she's not heavy, so I feel like anyone could probably catch her. But so much fun. And it's hard for me, and I'm going to say this as classy as I can. There was a hint of Attitude Era camera shots.
Oh, yeah.
Where I was just like, you're making me feel like a dirty old man. Don't do it like that. But part of that's ring attire.
What he's referring to is Riho on the top rope with her short skirt because she's in Joshi costume, and all we see is up Main Street.
But every time, she's going up the rope. The camera guy's like, yep, she is. Was right there every time.
Meanwhile, Stat falls backwards, and she's splayed out down hard cam, and whoever was in the truck was like, nope, and they cut to the side cam right away, so you don't have to look straight up, that way. Exactly. So I don't know what was going on with that, but there was so much chain wrestling going on. It was back and forth,
beautiful.
The roll up, and Stat ate the pin after not taking the chain from Stokely for the third time, and she's contemplating it now. You can tell she's like, I gotta go heel. I've got to listen to him and beat him up. Meanwhile, her partner is saying, no, don't do that. So that breakup is coming soon.
I think it's fun. It gives everyone some place to go. I thought this was a great match. Rio looked strong. Got thumped on pretty hard. One or two of those kicks to the head were like, oh, that landed flush.
Yeah.
And then the second... It's not a 619 where she comes from. I don't know what it's called. Tiger Feint Kick. The second one really got Stratlander in the face, I thought. And then there was one that got someone right in the jaw, all these little moves. And then the one that Taz called out, thought it was a ridge hand, but really it was something else. They were throwing some stiff shots in this one.
And it made it worthwhile. The crowd was into it. As I said, if not for the final match, this is my match of the night.
I agree, yeah.
We then get our Toni Storm promo. Coming off her win, and I love the fooled you, Renee. I fooled you, Paquette. Look, I'm here. and she's giving it. She's excited to celebrate. There's going to be so much there. It's not Mariah May's time, but soon. But they're going to have the Tony Awards with an eye, so they don't get sued.
Is she her own writer? Like
she's gotta be,
because some of the stuff she says, I'm like, you are hilarious.
And then, of course, at the end, because she doesn't have much more to say, they go to her catchphrase, and Mariah May mumbles out, "Watch for the shoe." I didn't catch it on the first run through, but Tony's like, "Dear, it's not your time. No. It's okay. you did poorly. It's fine. No, I love you, but no." I would like to see Mariah May get either go farther into the Tony Storm catalog and keep dressing like her even past this, or stop doing it because she needs to be her own person. But
I think she will. I think we're on our way. Like, I think she'll get called on it at some point, right? Like she'll be like, "Why are you trying to be me? Why are you trying to this?" I think it's coming, but
let's hope
it's fun. I mean, all the Tony Storm's promos are awesome. Like she hasn't missed yet. You know what I mean? So amazing.
Keep going. This has legs, and
just keep
everything
going.
Else for days.
And the internet is wrong. Some people on the internet hate this, and I'm like, no,
they're very
you're
wrong for it.
You're very wrong.
Love it,
like this
live
is
it, be it, and watch for the shoe.
It's gonna be great.
And then we have Stokely Hathaway and Willow Nightingale appearing later on to set up the fact that Willow will now be taking on Riho on, I think, Rampage, and get her collision.
Look at what that one jarred me because I was like, wait, oh my god, we just saw what Chris Statlander did. What is Willow gonna do?
Exactly, and that's half the fun. I'm so excited for these two to show different ways of doing it because Willow's adamant about not taking Stokely's health. Will Stat cheat for Willow to help against Riho?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if you read the comic books. I'm not a huge comic book person. I know the world because I have so many friends who are. But all I can think of seeing those two is way back in the day, the Incredible Hulk would curl Wolverine into a ball and then throw him like a shot put.
Yeah, the fastball special that Colossus does with him one-handed.
It's like, if they don't do that, it's a disservice. Someone's got to do it.
I could see out of a panel somewhere where it's like the Hulk is standing up over Deadpool and he's about to smash him, and Riho as Deadpool just keeps coming back and re-putting themselves together and continuously just battering the Hulk.
Oh my god! And just throw him into the audience. Just boo.
Yeah. Boo. Well, just like Sat did.
Goodness.
We then get from there another like jab parry thrust promo.
Yeah.
As Darby Allen first comes out to say how excited he was for what Sting got out of it, how hurt he is. Cuts a really heartfelt promo because it's honest. He doesn't know after next week if he's going to return because he's going to summit Mount Everest and could really die out there.
Yeah, more people die than they like to tell us about people. If you
it's the world's biggest graveyard.
It's a lot of death. There's a lot of death up there.
But he's at the point where he wants to do it. He needs to do it. But with all those injuries he just took last night, or 2 nights ago, how is he going to summit Everest in 2 weeks? Like it's.
Because my understanding is it takes like 3 days to summit Everest because you have to wait in line, then you have to camp, then you have to do a certain thing, then you have to pay a certain thing, then you have to do a certain thing, then you have to
get acclimated to the
and then climb. Yeah, that's what it was. You have to be there for a week, and then 3 days after you've been there for a week, and then while you're 3 days down, I'm paraphrasing. If there's any Everest nerds out there, you probably know this better than I do. You come down off the mountain, you still have to stay there for a week before you can leave again. There's so much stuff involved.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like scuba diving and not getting the bends, almost worse.
Right.
So when he cuts this type of promo out there and honestly thanks everyone and says like, I really don't know if I'll ever see you again. You obviously believe him, but it's like, oh my God, you're right. We may lose him, but it's a once in a lifetime thing for him. I can't fault him for wanting to do it. It's just
and then how genuinely, I don't want to say he's scared, but how genuinely, well, yeah, you could say scared, how genuinely reverent. Let's say that. Like, I know what I'm doing is dangerous, so I have to speak to you about this here. And I think that hit him while he was on the mic, and that's lovely to see.
And then, of course, because he's taking on Switchblade Jay White, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, at least the Guns, and he come out of the babyface tunnel, which is hysterical to me, and he cuts a promo about like, you don't need to do this. You're going to go off and do this other thing. Don't fight me. Don't get in the ring. Join us. Come scissor with us. Scissor daddy ass. Do whatever. What do you say? His nickname is going to be. Oh, where is it? He said, join the ring with him. Join the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. He said he had his good nickname for him. I didn't write it down. Dang it. Oh man, I wish I'd written it. It was something terrible, but it was really bad. But it's something else.
I remember being terrible. It didn't stick in my brain.
And Darby shuts him down, and he calls him out. He said, "You were main eventing the Tokyo Dome. You were winning titles everywhere else, and you came here and what? You screwed around with a cardboard box? What have you done?" Which, again, was like the Inspector Gadget line from earlier. Like, shut down the talker in no time, in a real way.
Let me see if I can find the nickname they gave him.
It wasn't memorable, but it made him get that upset. I'm worried for him coming through the next week with anything intact, because Jay White hits just as hard as everybody else. Darby's going to want to do big stunts, and you're trying to go to Everest. What the hell's going on?
Darby Scissorhands.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's why it didn't work.
That's why I went... It was like, yeah, really? That's what... You had a week? That's what you came up with?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the match next week. I want to see what they do, but this is just... It was not worthwhile to me. I leave the Darby promo where it was saying thank you and goodbye. Leave the bat in the ring. Go.
Didn't need this. It was a little tropey. We didn't need it at all.
Didn't need it. The next one, though, the Julia Hart promo to remind folks who she is. This was great. I like it.
I had no problem with it. I don't try to jump the promos. I should take better notes on the promos sometimes. But also when we're getting to the end and we're building, I don't lean on the promos so much.
Well, the reason I was invested in this is that she's reminding people who she is and trying to get people back on there's a TBS champion that's worthwhile. But then she's in the next promo afterwards for Collision with the House of Black, and she's setting up a House of Black rules like, yes, bring the spoopy back. Bring this. We've been missing this while you've been injured. You need this to like make the title worthwhile.
I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. I think the more they lean on that,
more
and
of
more.
Our lives. I get it.
Yeah, sky blue in the background, like just ominous, say nothing, do nothing, but still having poison power. Yeah, I think that's great. I think this did chain the next promo, which I remembered better. Yes, with the House of Black there for sure. Which I haven't seen House of Black on Dynamite in forever.
They were not going there originally because they were friends with CM Punk and didn't want to be over there for everybody else. But at the same time, that was the show they liked better because they were getting booked better and they were allowed not to have to like lose to anybody. So
yeah,
it'll be cool to see what they do with it. I loved her singing that and saying that what they're going to do with Mark Briscoe. And Briscoe responds to them afterwards because Briscoe's been fighting with the House of Black. So he's not scared. He's going to be good. He'll take him on an Atlanta street fight.
You say, I've tap danced with the devil. I tap danced with the devil. I've done that. Like, no fear, nothing. Like,
no fear at all.
Whoa.
And we bring out Jay Lethal to back him up, which, again, they've been friends for years, but they've had a falling out. And I love Mark going, don't you dare bring that jackass Jeff Jarrett. Don't you dare. And automatically, who else do we want in a street fight like this except, the most low-down, dirtiest player in the thing? Don't worry about him. Trust me. You can't trust Jay Lethal. They're part of Total Nonstop A-holes. This is what they do.
You don't, but, Jeff Jarrett got taken out by Mustard a year ago. Like, no. Briscoe took him out with Mustard a year ago. No, what are we doing?
I don't know. But that's on Collision. We don't have to worry about that. I am enjoying that we're getting Collision setups. They're making this world a whole world now because they're also doing Dynamite setups on Collision. So it's a good thing to have both. All your shows are talking. Make it happen that way.
Yeah. I think it's stronger when they're not siloed. I mean, we see that with another promotion. It has the potential to get kind of meh when you limit yourselves, and then nobody gets booked. No. You have what do we say? It's still true. We have 40 women on the roster. We're not seeing all of them on Dynamite. No. We're barely seeing them on Rampage. I think they're all on Collision, right?
For now, yeah, and that's not that much there either.
Woof.
But we go from woof. I sat back. I gave myself some room, poured myself a nice, glass of water. Knew I'd need it because I'd get dehydrated after watching this match. Will Osprey takes on his good friend and United Empire buddy, Kyle Fletcher, who is the ROH television champion. And at first I'm sitting thinking they're feeding Fletcher to him. He's going to beat him, and it's going to make the ROH TV title look bad. And then I remembered who's going to be in the ring and how much friendlier they are with each other. They're going to put each other over hard. And this match was the snuggest, fastest, and most upside-down match I have seen in years. These two need to fight every week, just for the hell of it.
Will Osprey made it on my short list for matches of the year twice in 4 days. Bang, bang. I don't know if this will stay there because it's still early, but oh my God, the shots they threw. That hidden blade sequence where Osprey throws two in a row after that Hurricane Rana on basically onto Fletcher's head. Like,
yeah, the poison Rana. He did a poison Rana, like the
Yes,
super poison
thank you.
Rana.
That was insane. The cutter he threw on the apron, it didn't. I would love your opinion. It doesn't look like it missed. He didn't get as flat as he could have, so he went right on his tailbone.
He saved Fletcher's head because the way he came down onto the apron, he was taking the bump for Fletcher, basically, and had Fletcher sell. So that made sense to me that he was actually protecting him. The problem is that you forget that he has that actual like really bad contusion from the Konosuke Takeshita match on his back. So he's working hurt anyways, and still taking it through there. I love Fletcher knowing him well enough to like block the Osprey cutter, to block a couple of other big moves, nearly gets him into a Styles clash and stuff like that, and kicks out of a couple other things.
Right.
The two of them throwing shots back and forth, and then realizing, I got to throw a harder shot, and then knocking the other person back, knocking them back that way.
Yeah.
The speed they moved at, the outside, it just was all over the entire arena.
Oh, yeah.
And I could watch it 3 different times and probably get more stuff out of it, and I still haven't.
Yeah.
This was ridiculous. The one thing I did notice, though, that before there was a big spot where they were going to try to do off the top rope. Tony Schiavone called.
I was just trying to find that. Hang on. Yeah,
Schiavone calls the actual move about 5 seconds before it happens. Like, Tony, are you prescient or are you just reading the script? Like, what's going on? Really? Yeah, he did. He was ahead of it.
Yeah, that. Maybe it's not this one, but there was that full Nelson flip, ridiculous thing that full dragon, that was just
whatever.
And Fletcher turns around horrified, like, "How did you do that?" I know this spot you're talking. I'm trying to find it.
The other thing that happened on commentary that I was a little upset about was Don Callis really buried Kyle Fletcher the entire time.
Yeah. Well, and
it was sad
and Taz ganged up on him too. Like, if you were injured, wouldn't you do it, Taz? And Taz was like, "Oh yeah, no doubt, no problem," right away. So, in my head, I clocked that too. The only reason you would say that is if you're trying to get them out of the family, so then it becomes those two, Keith and Will against the world sort of thing. Eventually,
until Mark Davis comes back, because Mark Davis is also part of United Empire, so you've got Aussie Open and Osprey to take on the Callis family.
Aussie Open, so good. I love the ending of this. I love that passionate brotherly moment that they had,
where he's like, "It's over, do it, just hit me," and he takes his head off.
I mean, it's Will Osprey is, and this is for another podcast. The fact that people have offered him the world and he chose AEW.
Yeah.
You better, Tony Khan better be thanking whatever deity he sees fit. You know what I mean?
You're getting 5-star matches every week on regular TV.
Yeah.
That alone, like Osprey can do that with a broom. But then you put in, and we know this from watching ROH, you put Kyle Fletcher in, who's basically Osprey about 5 to 10 years younger and working his way up in that style. You have amazing magic that can't be completed anywhere else. Yeah. And you're putting this on free TV? Like, it's crazy. And it's a way that AEW is trying to combat the fact that they have been so sluggish. They needed this injection of actual talent.
Yeah, you're not wrong. This kind of talent, I would say.
Kind of talent. I'm not saying talent overall. They have talent, but this kind of like different that they haven't had.
Like someone who
harkening back to the older days.
Yeah, he can do anything. We've seen him go heads up with luchas. We've seen him go heads up with monsters. We've seen him go and so on and so forth.
Heads up with Jericho.
Yeah, that monster. There's a lot of. I just want to see. I hope they use him properly in 2024. I want to see more of it. I feel like there should have been more. We kind of talked about this in other podcasts in 2023. Now that he's kind of all in, we'll see where that goes.
Well, we got a hint of what could be coming.
Yeah, we did. What happens next?
Bryan Danielson comes down, and he is looking like, "I'm your next fight." And if that's again next week on Big Business, we get these gigantic matches back to back to back. Like, I'm watching every week now. It's what's happening now.
Yeah. I would love to see the two of them go heads up, and I could only imagine how far they'd go. I wish it was 10 years ago, Daniel Bryanson, but that's just me. Still,
but that also would have been 10 years ago. Will Osprey too.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, gosh, I forget how old is Will Osprey.
He's got to be close to his 30, like early 30s, maybe like middle 30s. I don't know. He's old, but he's not that old.
He's not
because Kyle Fletcher's 25. He's younger than he is.
Yeah, he can't. Man, Will Osprey. Well, Will Osprey also looks like he has that
Well,
That
he's
fountain
been
of
doing it
youth
since,
somewhere.
since he was like 15, so that
Right.
makes sense too.
Right.
He's a veteran. But
That's incredible.
Professor, this
Yes.
was a hell of a way to come back. The new season of Dynamite opens. They throw everything at the wall. How many empanadas would you give this on the empanada scale for seeing it tonight?
Well, I want to say the go home show last week we buried, right? We were at like
Yeah,
fives
it was
and
not
sixes,
good.
and it was terrible. This is high eights for me. It's 8.5, almost 9. I wish if there was one more women's match, if there was a little bit more oomph in some of the promos and ticky-tack stuff like that. This is a full 9, but it's 8.5, almost 9, 8.8, 8.9. Like, it's up there. So much fun.
There's so much innuendo in there. I don't know if we're doing phrasing anymore, but that's great to hear. I'm with you on this one. This was an 8 for me as well, and 8's enough for me, really. I don't need much more than that usually. It's as much as I can usually handle. Just the space-wise, it doesn't fit as well. But 8 is where I'm saying that same reasons, and I really enjoyed it. I want to watch more every week. Let's see how Big Business treats us next week. Sure. I cannot wait to do that review with Mikey and bring that on there as well. But Professor, any final thoughts? Anything else you want to bring up about this?
I'll say it's. No, I can't make that joke. We'll get it demonetized. You set me up for one, and I can't use it.
It's hard when you have to cram it in so fast. I mean, I understand.
I know,
but
and sometimes it's 4 or 5 empanadas around.
It is. They come out the way they go in. It's very hard. I honestly do this show just to break the Professor is what I do. It's honestly why I'm here. But why I love that you're here is that you sit here and watch this with us. You enjoy that we're earnest about what we talk about. We love this art form, and we love that we share it with you because you're Biconic. We're both Biconic in more ways than one.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.